All right, welcome to the show, Mr. Edward Ryan Funk. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much, man, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on this wild, crazy journey on this podcast show, man.
I'm hyped. I'm super
Yeah,
hyped to be here.
I'm super
Anytime I'm
hyped
with you,
as
I'm
well.
hyped.
I love it, man. Same. And likewise, man. So what I usually like to start the show out with is an icebreaker. Okay. And so our icebreaker, of course, is how we met. I don't know if you remember,
Okay.
but you were one of my lab instructors
Yeah.
in the lighting in Candyland, right? Candyland
Candyland.
at Full Sail University. When I was taking, I want to say that was the lighting course at Full Sail, right? In the
Yeah,
film program back then. Do you remember those days?
I do. I remember them like they were yesterday. Those were the days that really allowed me to grow into who I am for sure. Like when
Yes,
I was
man.
so it's definitely a huge part of my life.
Oh,
Candyland was
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I remember you being very passionate about lighting and teaching us a lot of the tricks, from lighting, setting up stands and the different lights and all that stuff. Like you were very passionate when teaching us all of that, man. So no, I appreciate, even in the early days, I admire you,
Oh, thank you.
being my lab instructor, man, in those days. And look at us now,
I
man.
know,
What? Who
right?
would ever know? So
We
that's
went
cool,
from
man.
instructor to student to homies to brothers.
To brothers,
Brothers.
brothers,
Heck
man.
yeah.
I love it, man. So Ryan, my
So,
brother, what excited you, what inspired you, excuse me, to start a career in film and television?
so when I was younger, I was a sponsored skateboarder. As you can see, I'm still pretty
Oh
into
yeah.
it. And I was doing pretty good. I was moving up in the ranks. I was sponsored with a shoe company, sunglass company, clothing company, and a board company. And I was one of the things with skateboarding is that you is filming. Filming is a big part of that culture because for us to be able to promote our the companies that we ride for and the companies that sponsored us, you have to, advertise it and promote it. So filming was the biggest way to do that as well as photography. But then when I moved out to San Diego, California, and I got hurt really bad. So I instead of whining and complaining and stuff, I ended up grabbing a camera and just kind of helping up my friends and everything who needed some footage, and I fell in love with it. And I
Mm,
fell in love with it so much that I think I dropped my sponsors like 2 weeks later. Said, "Listen, I'm going to go the filming route. I just get hurt way too
wow.
much. I haven't progressed enough." And the style of skating that I did was kind of falling back then, and like it was
Hmm.
just really blooming. And I respected that, and that's what we had to do back then is we had to make that decision on our own. You know what I mean? Like, and it
Right.
was a noble decision. So I went the filmmaking route, and I started off shooting skateboarding. And
Wow.
talk about putting yourself in the trenches because you had to deal with the police still. You still had to deal with people getting angry at you. You had to be out at skate spots and light them at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So it,
Hmm.
it really set me up to bloom into the filmmaking world, and it made
Mm,
it very comfortable. Because there's a lot of instances in the filmmaking industry that can be very uncomfortable. You know,
hmm. Oh yeah.
and it definitely set me up for that.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Now, prior to this experience, did you what was your college experience like prior to that?
Prior to becoming a filmmaker.
Yeah, well, prior to this incident that um I guess inspired you to start shooting, the
Okay, so
skateboarding videos.
college,
Yeah.
as far as education, I was actually an X-ray tech, and I was
Hmm.
going to school. I was pre-med to be a radiologist,
Mm,
and
wow. Wow.
the hospital I was working at, which was Morton Plant Hospital in Clearwater, they were funding 90% of my tuition, and I got backing
Nice.
from the radiologists there and stuff. They really loved how much I enjoyed the way X-rays read and all that,
Hmm.
which kind of and subjectively is the same thing as filmmaking. You had to take a photo, go and develop it, and when
Hmm.
it printed out, you had to hang it, make sure it was developed correctly, and all this, and then you would set it up and set everything up for the doctors. And they would always test me. They were like, all right, tell me where the, pick line is, or tell me where the feeding tube is, and stuff like that. And they taught me a lot, and I really loved it. But I didn't feel like I would be happy. I felt like
Hmm.
I would invest my life into work. And when you invest your life into work, uh, when you initially are getting into a situation like that to help people,
Hmm.
you go from helping people to working. You know what I mean? Like, it's not,
Right.
you're no longer helping people, you're just working to get a check. And
Mm.
secondary is, you're essentially just helping people. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
that didn't feel good to me. So I eventually moved out to that's when I moved out to San Diego, and just moved on. I was working for a skateboard wheel company out there, and I was doing shooting their
Oh, nice.
advertising and stuff like that.
Wow.
Uh,
Hey,
yeah,
that's amazing. That's
yeah, it was pretty
amazing,
cool.
man. Yeah, I remember you telling me this story about your previous career, and I was just like, "What? Wait, what? Rewind!"
Yeah,
Like, I did not believe that. I was like, "That is crazy, amazing!" Like, for you to, well, one, you made that huge transition, because I know
right,
originally I started out studying engineering. It was a program called Digital Arts Engineering at University of Florida, and I just wasn't happy with it,
right.
So
Yeah,
ended up making a crazy transition within college, and found myself in theater. So, but it's just crazy to know that, those that start in a certain place and you're not happy, eventually you move to something that you're very happy about and passionate about, and you just explode, man. You become
yeah.
something really great, and it's like that fire that's burning inside of us. It won't be quiet until we're doing what our purpose is, so
100%. And what's crazy is when it's kind of, if you think about it, it's a positive selfishness. You know what I mean? Like,
hmm.
you want to make yourself happy by doing what you love to do, but it's not.
Right.
uh, you know, First things first is you're happy, but when you're happy, your whole family's happy, and your
Exactly.
friends are happy and everything like that, because you love who you are, and you love the choices that you make, and
Hmm.
the trials and tribulations, you're willing to face them any day of the week. Just
Right.
those are the things that make you the happiest.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's worth it. It's worth it to
It's
follow your happiness.
Oh yeah, so worth it, man. Now, knowing your journey, knowing where you were prior to launching that career in filmmaking, was there something that you wish you would have known, in between making those decisions or even starting out your career as a filmmaker? Was it something you wish you would have known prior?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was, I was I started off, and when I moved to San Diego, I ended up meeting a folk singer out there, and we ended up doing like a promo documentary. And that was the
Mhm.
first time I did anything narrative, anything
Oh,
that
super cool.
had some kind of like story to it and stuff. Everything that I did before that was, uh, you know, like a skate video. It was just
Hmm.
skateboarding and intro and stuff like that. So when we did that, everybody was very impressed, and I got hired to shoot a like how-to karate video in Ventura,
Oh.
California and stuff, like right off the bat. And I was like,
Hmm.
man, this is awesome. But the thing I'd never learned is, and especially in the skateboarding world, is to maintain and control my ego. That was the
Oh,
biggest
wow.
thing for me.
Hmm.
Like, stay humble. That's the biggest thing in the world, is just to sit back and enjoy the ride. But, be very happy and proud of the people around you, that whatever they're doing, it doesn't have to be filmmaking, it doesn't have to be anything, but just be happy for them and support
Hmm.
them 100% and stuff like that. And for the longest time, I didn't do that. So,
Wow.
my career went like this. It started to go up, and then it flatten out. You know what I mean? Like, just
Oh, wow.
things weren't moving how I really wanted them to, until I was put in my place. And the person that put me in my place was myself. And I said, "You're being
There
ridiculous."
you go.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you have to just love the people around you. Stop competing, because the competition isn't necessary and it's not worth it. And
Mhm,
just be a good person in general, and have a good time, and that's all you need to do. And
mhm.
once I started doing that is when, my shooting took a different turn. It started to become, I invested time into how the image looked instead
Right.
of investing time in how I looked behind the camera.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
there's
Yeah.
things like that that people don't think about. Like we think that filmmakers and stuff are these big rock stars and everything, but if you take that rock star mentality out, your
Hmm.
focus becomes very critical and streamlined into your craft and not yourself.
Oh
And
yeah.
once I figured that part out, it made it a lot easier for me to um just keep working and try to better myself. And the biggest thing for me is you could be 256 years old and you'll never know everything about filmmaking. And
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah.
what makes it so awesome. And that's what makes it
Hmm.
so like incomparable. You know what I mean? So
Right. Man,
so
amazing.
I think,
Amazing.
yeah, the biggest thing is ego. Like if somebody told me don't have an ego, go out there and have a good time, treat everybody with respect, let the people that do have the egos be the bad guys, don't be one of them. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I it was good that I experienced it, but I
Hmm.
just wish I wouldn't have experienced it for as long as I did. So if that
Right.
makes any sense.
No, that's totally, man. You're dropping some nuggets, man. I love it. So in this season of your life, when you were trying to figure out, okay, I really love filmmaking. This is where I want to go. You started that career, right? Were there any odd jobs that you had to do, until that career actually really took off to where it is now?
So outside of filmmaking or in
Yeah.
filmmaking?
Either. Yeah,
Either.
either. Hmm.
So the big when I started off here, when I moved back from San Diego, I met a great group of guys who were doing their own thing. We were making movies all the time, mainly short films and stuff like that. And I really learned a lot about the lighting department, but I was originally in the camera department.
Hmm.
And but for me to be able to feed myself and to pay rent and stuff, I went back to X-ray and I
Oh, copy.
worked as a X-ray manager, or what we call a control room tech, and
Hmm.
I would essentially do the developing and stuff like that. So I had to work doing that, and then Air Star balloons as a balloon gaffer. That's when it first started out.
Oh,
So that's how I started to learn a lot about lighting. Was I would go and just light events with these big Air Star balloons, and that's when I started to meet more filmmakers and stuff like that. But the biggest thing was the group of guys that I was hanging out with. They were Sundance filmmaker lab guys, so they would go out to the filmmaker labs out in Utah, and I was working a feature. I This is probably a year later. Got to
mhm.
know them. They started to put me on jobs and stuff as a grunt, like a grip and electric. I'm sorry, a second AC and
Mhm.
camera utility. But there's a specific feature that we were working, and I got hired to second AC it. So everything was cool. I was in, and the gaffer, key grip, and the DP walked up to me, and they were like, "Listen, I'm sorry, gaffer and DP." They were like, "We're taking you off the camera, and we're going to put you as a key grip because you're invited to the Sundance Filmmakers Lab, and you're
Wow.
not doing camera, you're doing grip and electric. So you need to learn as much as you possibly can." Now,
Oh,
mind you,
yeah.
this is March, April that we're shooting this, and the Filmmakers Lab was in June, May,
Oh,
June. Like we
wow.
so I had like a month to learn as much as I possibly could on
Mhm.
this feature. And mind you, it was a free gig too. The feature was a free
Oh,
gig.
gotcha.
We shot a
Mhm.
feature in 10 days, and it was like 18-hour days, sometimes 20.
Wow.
We broke night a few times. You would sit there and see people in downtown Orlando jogging by, and you're just sitting there watching them stare as you're drinking beers at 6 a.m. in the morning, after the gig. Uh,
Wow.
but once I went out to the filmmakers lab, I was working with very high end DPs and stuff like that from all over the
Mhm.
world, and they really taught me a lot. And that's how I broke into the lighting department, was
Wow,
that way.
man.
So as far as
What a
odd
journey.
jobs, yeah, it was. There's just so many things, and you know what? It all stems back to saying yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. You want me to go to the filmmakers lab? Okay, let's do it. If I
Mhm.
fail, I fail. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
there's a million avenues to go.
Oh, yeah,
So it is
man.
what it
It's amazing, man. I'm excited about all the stories I'm gonna hear in this session.
is.
Because man, I know you have some great stories, man. So tell
It's
me, my
been
brother,
wild.
right? Tell me, man. Tell us about the first opportunity that you had that you were just, this is it, man. I want to do this the rest of my life. This is like to get paid this to work on projects like this. Tell us about that first opportunity.
So my first opportunity, when it came to a paid gig with pretty infamous people, was a short film called Stuck. And it was with Wendy Malick, Ken Howard, a few other people like that were pretty well known back then. There was a show called 24. They were the cast on 24. There was a young lady who worked on stuff with Ben Stiller on Meet the Parents, I think. Is that what it's called?
Okay.
Meet the Parents?
Yeah.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like she
Hmm.
was, she was had a role in that, and we got together and we shot the short films right after 9/11.
Hmm.
And essentially it was a group of people who got stuck in an elevator like blocks away from where the airplanes hit 9/11, and they just talk about like and they're just having these conversations not knowing what's going on, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
you realize how selfish we are before 9/11, if you will. And then they're sitting there in an elevator stuck talking about all their greed and all this stuff, and bagging on each other and
Hmm.
all this, whatever it may be. And that was a big honor to be on that set, because it could have been anybody at that point. I was a young
Right.
kid, but there was a few people that really truly believed in me, and they wanted me on the set, like legitimately said, we need you on the set. And I was honored. It was an absolute honor. So that was probably my biggest, like, okay, this is my life, this is exactly
Wow.
what I wanted to do, you know what I mean? It was
Hmm.
huge, because just watching these people act, because Ken Howard, if I remember correctly, was the president of SAG before he passed away a couple
Wow.
years ago, and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So you can imagine like how a young kid sees these amazing actors, and then to see these old time filmmakers like put everything together, and I'm just my eyes wide open going, I have no clue what's going on. And like,
Oh yeah.
they just doing whatever they tell me to do. And then afterwards they're like giving me hugs and shaking my hand, talking about how good of a job I did. I still don't know what I did. You know what I mean? Like, it was like one of those
Wow.
experiences where it was just like amazing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man, that's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, you worked on this amazing documentary. I still haven't had a chance to check it out, but I've seen the
Right.
trailers and all the great stuff that you've been sharing with me. But it's called Ride Till I Die. Tell us
Yeah.
about this project, man.
Okay, so Ride Till I Die was a project that a gentleman, his name is Tony Ramos, and myself put together. Tony Ramos is an amazing, brilliant director, producer out of Toronto, Canada, and we had the blessing to work together on an outdoor channel show called um, the World Fishing Journal, and it was mini documentaries set, not so much about like who caught the biggest fish, or like you're not on a boat just filming fishing. We're actually telling stories about behind the scenes of the fishing culture and industry. And he was just such a brilliant storyteller, that every time he came to Florida, we would work together and shoot these shows. And uh, what had happened is that show had its last season, so he essentially like stopped working on that, and he called me up and he was like, "Listen, I think I have one shot to do a feature length doc. I really want to show
Mhm.
off what I'm able to do, something that I can really be proud of, that I could give, that I produce on my own and all this other stuff." And he goes, "I'm gonna go find a story." And I was like, "I'm in." Like, and he goes, "I want to do it in Florida. I'm gonna go find a story." So we both were like looking for like just really cool ideas and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We went the fishing route, and it was just like, we kind of killed that. We already did that. We found a couple like non-for-profit routes that were really cool. But one night, I guess he was sitting, watching ESPN or whatever, and the PBR came on, which is the professional bull riding circuit, and it just clicked. And he was like, "Let me," he researched Florida and bull riding, and
Mhm.
did a lot of his R&D skills, which is research and development, is just unbelievable how deep he goes and how, like, that's why he's such a good storyteller.
Wow.
And I really connected with that because I have always loved to, I loved just very intelligent documentaries, like when
Oh
they,
yeah.
you know that it's not biased, you know that it's not one way, you just see it as what it is, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's the kind of storyteller he was.
Yeah.
But he ended up calling a rodeo production company, and it was a smaller one, and they were like, "You want to do a documentary on someone? We got the perfect
Hmm.
person." And they sent him his number, and it was this bull rider, 40 years old at the time. He
Wow.
was my age, still riding
Oh
bulls,
wow.
and you know, he was a legend, or he still is. He's still a legend in
Yeah.
the circuit. And he calls him up, and his name is Ricky Ringer,
Mm.
and he has a son, and they call him Little Ricky. Like, just like this, like, facade. You're just like, I can't believe this. So anyway, we went down to Tampa where they were having their first annual bull ride in Tampa for the first time ever. They set up shop for a weekend, and we were just blown away. We were blown away by the culture. We were blown away by the
Mhm.
love and the respect that they had for each other. We were blown away by Ricky Ringer, like, how much people just loved him. And when he walked around, like, the crowd would take photos with him and stuff. And these are people that lots of people thought this culture was gone, like the bull riding,
Mhm.
the cowboy culture or whatever. And it's not. Like, we shot down in West Palm, and that rodeo sold out, and I followed the owner of the rodeo production to the ticket booth, and the
Mhm.
line was so long I could not see the end of the line. That's how long
Wow.
people were waiting. There must have been 10,000 people at the rodeo already, and then there was probably 2,000 waiting to get in. That's how
Wow.
much the culture's not gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and it was just something just so brilliant to document. But when we got into it, what was cool about Tony is that he allowed me to do my job. And my job
Mhm.
was to tell the story visually, and allow the lighting and the camera work and stuff like that to really support these cowboys and what the culture does. And we gambled. We did high
Mhm.
contrast lighting. We did a lot of camera movement. We stylized a lot of it, and it really supported the bull riding because the bull ride, that's what they are. They're these stylish, like, they're all super strong, they're clean, they're very polite and all that. And that's kind of what we dug into when it came to the style of shooting that we did. So
Mhm.
when things were frantic, we shot frantic, but when they weren't frantic and they were just being boys and just being cowboys and like standing around and talking smack and stuff, we really tried to like support that. And Tony was really good about allowing me to, uh, choose those types of
Mm.
those shot selections and lens selections and stuff like that. But he had his little quirks about him that he
Mhm.
made sure that he had to be put in it, to make his signature,
Oh yeah.
uh, of his visuals, and they're amazing. So I was 100% in. It was just an
Wow.
amazing experience. Yeah,
That's amazing, man. Yes, I
yeah.
remember you telling, every time we were in the office at Full Sail, you were always working on something with it. And just to remember like how exciting that was. And just to see you
Yeah,
excited, I was excited, because you were excited and all that great stuff. And the trailer looked amazing. And I was just like,
yeah.
every time I was like, my brother is going to be he's a documentary producer over here, man. I just like, if I wanted a documentary done, I know who to call.
Yeah.
Because there's some
Documentaries
really
are,
great stuff, man.
dude, they're like probably my favorite type of production to ever shoot. I love shooting
Mhm.
features. I absolutely love shooting
Yes.
features, but documentaries, you're telling the truth. You're
Mhm.
going and you're living the lifestyle that these people live. Like,
Oh,
even though
yeah.
you're doing your job, like, you have to live that lifestyle to really, and immerse yourself into it, to
Oh,
really
man.
understand the story that you're telling. And it was really cool to see, like, being, you know, 100 miles deep in an Indian reservation where like anything could happen, and nobody could ever know. Like, and that's where they
Mhm.
lived, and the
Mhm.
culture and all that, and what they taught us, and everything, and we really adapted to their lifestyle on purpose. And we were gifted uh, these Indian tribe necklaces and stuff that were
Oh,
good luck and all this stuff from a young lady from one of the tribes down in Okeechobee. I can't remember which one,
wow.
but the experience was just amazing. And then when that feature was put together and we started to submit it, it picked up quick. Like a lot of
Mhm.
people really enjoyed it, and a lot of people just loved the storytelling and they loved the
Oh, yeah.
cinematography, and we ran with it. Like it was just
Oh,
so
yeah.
much fun, and it's one of those projects that we were just so proud of that
Mhm.
we weren't embarrassed, or we weren't like, oh, we're not going to go to that film festival, no way, you know what I mean? Like we were like, we're going to be there. I want to shake hands with everybody that sees it and thank them, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, thank you so
Oh,
much
yeah.
for coming to see it. And it really did well, and it was a lot of fun to see. It was a lot of fun to see something that you invest 3 years of your life in do good, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it was awesome. It was just a great time.
That's amazing. Amazing. Now, how can our listeners see this film now? Is there anywhere that we can possibly watch the film?
Yeah, yeah, it's streaming right now on Amazon.com. It's also streaming on
Awesome.
iTunes. I want to say Voodoo is another one. But if you
Okay.
go to ridetilliddiefilm.com, that's the website for the film, and it has all
Mhm.
the different streaming um, companies and stuff on the website. So you could just go there and see
Sweet.
what would be best for you. But
Awesome,
yeah, and
man.
also the trailers there too, and our bios, and the Cowboys, I think, have bios on it too. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's sweet, man. All right,
Yeah.
that's my homework for the week. All right.
Yeah.
But no, check out the film Ride Till I Die. All right. My brother Ryan Funk, man, was a big part of that film. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. And man, best wishes on that. And I'm looking
Oh,
forward
thank
to
you.
some more documentaries. Now, if you had to choose between documentaries or narrative features, what would it be?
I would say documentaries
You would
all
say
day.
documentary. I knew it. I
Yeah. And I'll
knew.
tell you why, because again, like you get to experience that
Yeah.
lifestyle, whatever you're doing the documentary on. And I think, and that's me being selfish though, like
Hmm.
it's, and that's something that you get to do. And it's not just like for 1 or 2 days, it's for like
Yeah.
years. You know
Oh
what
yeah.
I mean? So you get to experience these different cultures and these different lifestyles for a very long time,
Hmm.
and you become very close to them, and you become family, and sometimes you become enemies with them, but nonetheless the experience is something that nobody in the world could take away from you or could
Nice.
ever
Oh yeah.
understand. So,
Nice.
but I have to take my hat off to feature film making as well. Like feature films are
Hmm.
just so much fun. The
Hmm.
organization and stuff that we're able to do and create with feature films versus documentaries is a breath of fresh air, though. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
when you have complete control over something, it's a whole nother beast.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think when it comes to documentaries, the unknown, like you never know what's going to happen. I think that part makes it that much more exciting. You know what I mean?
Sweet, man.
Yeah,
And speaking of feature films, I hear you have a new feature film that's coming out here soon, right? Time
yeah,
for Every
yeah.
Purpose. Man,
Yes,
tell us
sir.
how this project came about. How
Okay.
did it land in your lap?
Okay. So I was working on pre-production with a uh, very good friend of mine, Giorgio, which was a faith-based piece that was his personal story, and it was just an amazing story. And for some reason, uh, I got a call from another gentleman named Quentin who had this short film, and he was just like, I just see you on Facebook all the time, and Instagram, and you're shooting all the time and stuff, and I would love to just meet up and talk to you about the short film. So we ended up meeting at a coffee shop, and we talked to each other about it. We talked business a little bit, and the biggest thing with me in short films is that the ROI is absolutely extinct. Like there's no ROI. You know what I mean? The only thing that short films really do is number one, help your growth and progression, which is a huge deal. Like I think it's very important That's why I think short films are very important. And the other thing is show other people your abilities, because if you could tell a story in 5 minutes and it's brilliant, just imagine if you got 2 hours, or just imagine if you got 70 minutes. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Right. Hmm.
um, just what you could do with that. So we talked about that a little bit, and the short film wasn't bad at all. And I said, I think if you're going to do this, we need to make it into a feature. And he goes, you know what? He goes, let me think about that. So that day ended, and we kept the relationship going,
Hmm.
and we kept talking about that. And this was like 2 years before we shot. Excuse me. So we started working together. He told me that him and his wife are cameramen and stuff like that. So we started working on a few things. He would hire me to, go and shoot stuff for his company, and then they would come and shoot stuff for us. And we got to know each other, and we were getting along, and I loved their business approach, and mine was definitely a lot more chaotic because I'm just not a businessman, like, but so I learned a little bit from them, and then he introduced me to who he wanted to direct the film, which was a gentleman named Lance. We started meeting a little bit, and then it kind of faded out. It faded out after we met Lance, and but then Q and Lance and I would chat more and just kind of meet and do whatever.
Hmm.
And out of nowhere, we're on a job, and Q walks up with this, stack of papers, and he goes, "Hey, man, remember when I told you about that short film? Where here's the feature. It's written out." And I was like, "What? Like, how did you do that?" So one of my biggest things is that this is a faith-based piece. It is a
Yeah.
piece based on faith. There's not a specific type of faith, but it's a faith-based piece, And that was made loud and clear at the beginning. That's something that we agreed on. We don't want to pigeonhole this piece. We want
Right.
everybody of all faith to kind of connect with it.
Hmm.
But at the same time, the biggest thing for me was the biggest thing for me was the faith-based community, film community. They always put pieces out geared towards people of faith already. Like, you're
Hmm.
you already have an audience, so you're just making movies based on specific religions or faith or whatever. So, but the problem is that what we want to do in that community is we want to reach out to people who are maybe on the fence, or maybe
Yeah.
believe but just don't really go to church or anything, or people
Hmm.
that don't believe at all, and just like give them the opportunity to think about it for a second. That's all we want, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and this is coming from not our faith more than our scientific belief that we can change the way that we shoot and think and approach these films, and it could reach them in a different light, in a different direction.
Hmm.
For instance, um, we didn't want to. Uh, there's a lot of prayer and faith-based films and stuff like that. We wanted to create real world situations where it, like, at the end, it comes to fruition through faith, but you don't really think about it through the whole piece. You know what I mean? That's just how it
Oh,
ends.
yeah. Hmm.
And that was a big thing for me, and so was reaching out to people who aren't of the faith-based community already. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
um, and again, that came from the psychological appeal of being able to reach out to those people and bring them in a little bit better, or a little bit easier and smoother, and let them understand that it's not about you know bashing your head into anything. It's just, listen, like, have a little faith, treat people with respect and love and all that other stuff. So
Hmm.
when we came to that point, and we all agreed that that was a great way to do it, then uh, Lance had come on as the director. I came on as one of the producers and the director of photography, and then that we just moved on from there. Q had already met with Sonia, who ended up becoming the executive producer and another
Hmm.
producer, and she was very adamant that she wanted to be the only person that funded this film for some reason.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that. I was totally okay with that because, the more hands in the pot, the worse it starts to smell, if you will. So you know what I'm saying? So like she was cool with it, and she was like, I don't want any kind of creative control over anything. I want you guys to do it and move on from there. And that's what happened. Like uh Lance and I chatted a couple times. He expressed his style and take, but every time that he was expressed his style and take on how he likes movies and how what movies he likes and stuff like that, he always would like steer towards the acting again. Like it always ended up
Mhm,
in the acting, which really opened my eyes to the type of director he's going to become, which was,
mhm.
a actor's director. Like he didn't
Yeah.
even care to look at what was being shot.
Mhm.
So when we finally got funding, we got a $250,000 to shoot it, and obviously the crew that we hired was handpicked, especially by me. Like the people that I needed in there, I was like, these are the people that I need. You being one of them, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Jennifer being in makeup, I needed her in makeup because there's no feature film that I would want to do without her,
Oh yeah.
and I being together. And then, uh, you know, my second cameraman, Ian, he's a must.
Mhm.
James Bailey, who's a must. Like Brian Peterson, who's my gaffer at all times, no matter what, especially on features, is a must. Matt, Michelangelo's got to be my key grip under with Brian,
Mhm.
because those two will, just their work ethic and their aura and everything about them is just such a blessing to have on set. So, they let me do that. I took about 2 months to break down the script shot shot wise.
Mhm.
And the funniest thing about that was I broke it down and I had this binder like this thick. And it
Yeah.
was the script all broken down, and I had formula pages and all this stuff, and you know what I mean, like color temps here, and this is why we use them. And I
Mhm.
researched about it a lot about how color is portrayed in the biblically and all this stuff. So I had all that written down, and I chose these different
Wow.
ways and stuff. And then the art director and I, Frank Jeremiah, who's just an amazing person to have around.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
We talked a lot about color during it, and he would pick something and he would go, "This is the reason why I picked this," and I was like, "That's great because this is how it reads out in the biblically, and then here it
Mhm.
is emotionally and psychologically." So all the color schemes and all that stuff, just we worked all that stuff out. It was a lot of work, but
Mhm.
when I put it, Lance and I met for coffee, and I put my binder in front of him, and then I had my computer, and I go, "Okay, here's everything, this and that, and this and that." And he goes, "Man, that looks really good." And he goes, and shut the binder. He goes, I was at this the other day, and he just started talking about other things, and I was like, you know what? I think this is going to be an awesome relationship. Like, he doesn't care. He's going to take care of his business, and he's
Yes.
going to do
Oh
amazing
yeah.
at it, and I get to take care of the rest. And if I fail, then it's on me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but
Oh yeah.
with that kind of love and respect that everybody had on set, and the
Mhm.
prayers and all that stuff were so just important, and the relationships that were built out of that feature are,
Oh man.
the feature came out great. I'm in love with it. Like, especially being like my first full. I've shot like second unit as a director of
Mhm.
photography and features and stuff like that, but I've never been like the end all be all on a feature.
Mm.
So it
Oh yeah.
was it was a true honor, and the people that we worked with were just uh amazing. So
Amazing.
yeah, I we couldn't ask for a uh better situation.
I'm just saying, you're so talented and so humbled about it. But man, yes, you killed it, bro. I'm just gonna be
Oh,
real.
thank you.
You killed it. And
Well,
man.
being next to you though, being next to you is easy. You know what I mean? Like it's always easy.
Oh man, it's funny though. You were telling the story about bringing Lance the book, that big portfolio. I remember one time coming into the office at Full Sail, and what's crazy is Ryan and I sit kind of back facing each other,
Uh,
so we're like right behind each other in the office. And so I remember walking in, and you were working on. I want to say you was lining the script, in
yeah.
between phone calls and emails, and I'm just like, wait, you're lining the script Like, you do that? And you were like, yeah, I'm, working on this project. And this was another feature film. But you was working on this project and you was planning to DP it and you were doing the lining of the script. And I'm like, I usually have to do that as a director. And you're
Right.
like, what? And I was like, but you're doing it. That means I can focus on the actors. But it
Right.
was just kind of like we both had this moment. Like, I usually have to do that, when I'm looking at my shots and have to figure it out. But here I am seeing a DP that I already admire and look up to that already is doing it. And I'm just like, my mind was blown. I was like, I want to work with you, bro. Let's go. I want to work with you forever,
And that's
So,
what
yeah.
that's what happens. That's what happens.
Oh,
We
yeah,
work
man.
together, and the time continuum shifts. When Ronald and I got together, that's it.
Yeah, that's
things
it,
hit
man.
different.
So much more coming. Yes, man.
Yeah.
So
But oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead. I had another question for you, but you go ahead. Finish this thought.
I was just gonna say, like, a lot of people don't really do that, especially as a DP, where you line the script. But when I'm reading the script, okay, so silly things, but the first time that I ever hear read the script, I never read it myself. Like, it's always read to me. It's something that my wife and I have always done, like, where I'll just sit there and I'll just close my eyes and I'll just picture everything that I need to picture, and she gets to do the same for Vanities, because that's what she does. She deals in makeup and hair and all that, mainly makeup, and she'll read it for her own, personal well-being, and then she'll read it out loud for me so I can sit there and just kind of visually
Oh, man.
see it in my head, and then after that, we 3-hole punch it, we put it in a binder, and then that's when I get to work, and I just remember all that stuff and all the shot ideas and everything. And what lining it does for me is I'll stretch it and I'll go, okay, cool. The establishing shot's going to reach from this point to this point in the script, right? So I'll do that. So that's shot 1A, and then I'll come over here and or actually it's typing now, it's not writing anymore. But I'll type it in, and we design all of our shot lists paperwork. We design it per shoot. So if we know that we're going to be in exteriors a lot, that means we're going to have to use a lot of ND filters. There might be shutter angle manipulation, obviously lens switches and all that stuff. So those will be my priorities on my shot list. So I'll be like, okay, I definitely need NDs. I definitely need this, and I definitely need that in my shot list. So, and then I'll choose my millimeter, and I'll choose my NDs and all that stuff, and whatever per shot, depending on what it is. But like, if it's interior, then I really won't need NDs as much, or at all. You know what I mean? And so I won't focus on that as much. I might not have that in a column for that, but instead I'll have lenses, f-stops, shutter angles, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So, but nonetheless, I sit there and I line everything and I type it in, and then I just do that every night. And depending on what type of feature it is, if it's a suspense film or something like that, what I did in the past is I would go to bed early, like 8 o'clock or whatever, and then I'd wake up at 1 a.m. and then that's when I'd get to work, because it's kind of, there's something about like being up at like 1 o'clock in the morning where it's kind of eerie. There's no noise going on. You know what I mean? And like, it's just a suspenseful kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And so
That's
I'll put
amazing,
myself
man.
so I put myself in these predicaments where I'm like, okay, it's kind of creepy in my house right now. And like, I'll put on like music that kind of like would represent that scene that I'm breaking down and stuff like that. And it really helps me like visually focus on, how I want to design the film. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, man.
So,
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Now, I got to, because you already talked about your wonderful wife, Jennifer Funk over there.
okay.
I remember, I don't know if I had met Jennifer before we had our party at Full Sail. I mean, at Universal Studios. But I remember meeting her, and she was just so focused. She probably was in mommy mode, and she was so focused. I was like, I don't know, how to figure this, Ryan's wife out, you know what I mean? But then when I get blessed with the opportunity to be on set, man, she is just as cool as you. And I'm like,
cooler. She's much cooler.
And I'm just like, wow, I want her on set too, every production as well. What is it like, working with your spouse and I admire the whole fact that you have a family and you're still able to do productions. What is it like, man, for those that work, for yourself, that work on productions and you're still managing a family and all that great stuff?
Well, first with our kids, they love it. They absolutely love being on set with us. They were on set with us not too long ago, with a drone shoot that we were doing, and then they were just so much fun, and they get it. You know what I mean? And then they get to go to school the next day and talk smack about how they were on a set in an abandoned,
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean, abandoned movie theater and stuff like that. But when we met on set, like we met as a makeup artist, and I was a chief lighting designer or a gaffer at the time. Um, and it's just been our whole lifestyle ever since. But I don't feel complete unless we're working together. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
and you have this feeling when you walk on set, when we walk on set together, you have this like just this really proud feeling that we're both coming on set. And then when
Oh
everybody
yeah.
comes to us and they give us hugs and they give us love and all this other stuff, it feels like our family's complete. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
and I feel that she feels the same way a lot, and we talk about it all the time. Like we love being on set together, and
Mhm.
we've done numerous features and we've done numerous small jobs and big jobs and all kinds of stuff. But even probably the toughest part is when we're not working on set together. Uh,
Yeah.
the toughest part is not being together, but what's cool is that we understand what each other's going through at all times. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she can go, "Oh, this is frustrating," or I could be like, "Man, I'm in this situation," and then a lot of the times she'll have like a good comment or something that really helps me get through the day, or she'll even troubleshoot a little bit with me. When she's not on set. Like when I was doing a reality show up in Panama City Beach, and I would go up to Panama City Beach every month for between 7 and 10 days. And there
Wow.
was, reality shows, you're working 12-hour days, you got a camera on your shoulder for 90% of that time, and there's always conflict, and there's always rushing and going bananas, and it's always so unorganized, and but that's the genre. Like that's
Mhm.
what reality shows are. That's how they're supposed to be. And sometimes I get really frustrated and stuff, but she would always hone me in and get me back to being happy and
Nice.
and focused. And I'm not with my family for 10 days at that point, and they
Yeah.
all get it. They are all like, "All right, cool,
Mhm.
dad, we'll see you later," or "We'll see you in 10 days." And I'm like, "All right." And that's probably the biggest blessing, because I don't think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that could do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
and understand it. So being on set with them, my kids included, is like it I can work probably 3 days straight with them being
Mhm.
there without even blinking an eye, because my family's there. Like that's it. That's all I care about, is just having them
Yeah.
there. Um,
Yes.
so it's really hard to talk about. Like it's a feeling like no other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's
man. It's
super
like the
rad.
best
And
of
then
both worlds.
yeah,
Your
100%.
family and then something you really love. So
But just
man, that's a
imagine
blessing.
imagine being on camera, and then like you get to see your wife's work like come
Yeah.
out, and like you get
Oh
to
man.
shoot it, and then like now you're connected
Wow,
that way
right.
too. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like dope, super
Yeah.
rad.
That's so
Yeah,
dope, man.
I'm her biggest
Man.
fan, by the way. Like I think she does
Yeah.
the most amazing work ever.
Oh
So
man.
super rad. She's
I
probably
love
listening
it,
right
man.
now.
I love it, man. Well, she is, right?
Yeah,
She a fan of the
always.
show. I didn't tell you, right?
Yeah, no, she is.
She will be now. I'm sure she'll be checking it out now. But no, man,
Yeah,
that's amazing, man. I can't wait to get Monique back on set with me. So you already
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
100%.
that
She
she
should
cuts.
always be on set.
Yeah, she
She's got to
cuts
come
my
on set.
stress in half, man. So she cut stress in half for me. But yes, man. So you have an amazing company. You and your wife have an amazing company that's named beautifully. Okay. Image in a Nation. I mean, just tell us about how this company got started, man, and what y'all doing now.
Okay, so we started off. A lot of it has to do with the way that film companies treat their crew, and we've been
Hmm.
crew our whole life, and we were so fed up with people running crews into the ground at 16 to 18 hours, even 12 hours anymore, 12 to 14 hours and stuff. It's just, we don't feel like it's worth it. And we
Yeah.
always feel like these companies, they come in and they're like, all right, this is what we're going to shoot. And we get to a location and they're like, I think what we'll do is this and that, and this and that. And I was like, there's no organization, there's no pre-pro. You know what I mean? Like there's just
Yeah.
nothing going on. So we kind of redeveloped how we felt about that. And we tried to focus on 8 to 10 hour days instead of
Hmm.
anything else. And we literally will pull the plug after 10 and a half hours. Like it's not worth it to us. So that's what it came down to. And ironically, there's two people that we based the company off of as far as like how to approach having a company. And that was Richard Bronson, who
Mm.
owns, what is it? What does he own? Is it Sprint? No, I forget what he owns. He's like owns one of
Hmm.
the wireless companies or whatever it is. And then
Hmm.
um, the RZA. The RZA was the other one from Wu Tang.
Oh,
You
wow.
know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And now RZA, the reason why I really I read a book on RZA and how he approached how to do Wu Tang, and that's kind of like how we based image
Wow.
off of. And the way he does it is that he gets a crew, right? You got Method
Mhm.
Man, Inspector Deck, Old Dirty Bastard, all these people
Mhm.
and stuff, and he he brands them. You know what I mean? Like he brands them and he
Mhm.
helps them start companies and he helps start their brands and stuff like that. But what's
Mhm.
crazy is that they're contractually obligated to Wu Tang, but
Mhm.
they can sign to other labels and
Mm.
have records out on other labels, but they have to represent Wu Tang no matter
Wow.
what label they're on. If they're a special guest on another person's album, that's the contract. They have to represent Wu Tang. That's why
Mm.
you always hear Wu Tang. Every time you
Yes.
hear him on special guest, Wu Tang. That's why, because he's like, yeah, you could go ahead and take my guys, but you have to represent Wu Tang. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And where's Wu Tang at now? It's one of the biggest like hip hop entities in history.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're in clothing, they're in skateboarding, they're in music. They have more albums out than I could possibly like even
Wow.
fathom. There's albums out now that I've never even heard from them, and they're amazing.
Yeah. Have
They're
you checked out
still
their TV series?
I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, I
What? And
have.
they have a
I think they have a TV series. I think I want to say it's on Hulu, but I think it's actually comes on a network. But I want to
really?
say it's up
Is
on
it?
Hulu. Yeah, I checked
I
out
remember they
probably
had a
maybe like the
cartoon
first
on.
or two, yeah, episodes, and then I haven't got to check it out any after that. But yeah, it's I think it's streaming on Hulu right now. So,
Yeah, that's
but yeah,
awesome. Now
that's amazing,
is it a
man.
cartoon?
To know.
Is
No,
it a cartoon? Oh, it's
no,
real?
it's a real, yeah,
What?
it's about them, their lives and how they came together, I think, and all that great stuff.
Dude, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, just talking about this, like I gotta go check it
Uh,
out again, and then we can talk about it,
yeah, yeah.
catch
Heck
up. But that
yeah.
would be cool. Yeah. Let's see. But
So
no,
Ri-
that's amazing.
so with Richard Bronson, one of the things that he had mentioned is, or I've read about him, it was a quote. He said, "The your customer is not your most important asset. Like that's not your
Hmm.
most important asset. Your employees are. If you
Mm.
treat your employees right, your employees will take care of your customers. So don't worry
Right.
about your
Wow.
customers. Worry about your
Hmm.
employees." And that was like that hit me
Yeah.
differently because I was like, bro, like if we take care of the people that work for us, make sure they're fed, make sure they're paid, make sure you know, their thirst is quenched and make sure they're happy, make sure they're not
Hmm.
overworked, overbearing hours, and most importantly, make sure they have a life outside of this set. They'll
Hmm.
take care of our clientele 100%, and that's
Oh
what
yeah.
happens. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
when we have people on set and uh if people have to go home early, if something happens, there's no harm, no nothing, you know what I mean? And if they're we run them 10 hours and that's it. So they have a life at home. We make sure that they're happy, we make sure they're fed. We budget meals that aren't pizza most of the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
we
Right.
try to get them like things that they're happy with. If they want a visitor on set, doesn't bother us, just as long as they don't distract anybody. You know what I mean? And there's a
Hmm.
lot of learning going on with that, but 99% of the time, it they turn around and they just talk about how much fun they had on set with us, and how much they loved
Yeah.
working for Image. And guess what they do? They walk around representing Image,
Image.
Image. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and it's just like the RZA did. And I'm just like, that's what I'm
Right.
talking about. Like, we take care of them. Those are our important
Hmm.
people. And the other thing too is that if you take care of 10 employees and those 10 employees get 10 customers each, that's a
Wow.
lot of customers. You
That's a
see what
lot
I'm
of
saying? That are
customers. Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
that's that's kind of what uh that's kind of how we approached it, like we have a home
Hmm.
office, as you can see
Yeah.
here, all
Oh
the
yeah.
cameras here, whoop, all the old
Whoop.
school cameras. But
Nice.
so with Image right now, we have a simulator project that we're doing. We did uh produce and um help produce the rodeo doc. We help produce the feature film that's coming out. We have other hopefuls coming up, which is one in particular, which is a feature film, another faith-based feature film that we're looking at. We have a few that a buddy of mine has written that we're all into. You know who I'm saying?
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Yes,
there's
man.
just a lot of stuff that we want to do. And it's cool. The biggest thing is that the most important thing with Images is that the crew gets bigger and they get wiser and they progress,
Yeah.
not the company. The company
Oh yeah.
doesn't matter to me. If the company
Mhm.
fails, I could care less. We're going to still keep going. You know what I mean?
Wow. Amazing,
Uh,
man.
so that's kind of what Image is. It's
I
just
love
like
it. It's
we want it
beautiful.
to be more of a we want it to be more of a culture than a company. You know what I mean?
Tell Image to put me in, coach. I'm ready. I'm
Oh,
ready.
dude, you're the biggest asset
Oh
asset in,
man.
in Images world. You know what I mean?
Man, likewise, man. Likewise. Same here, man.
Yeah.
We got a lot of
So
work to do, man. So I'm about to get into some great questions here, even though these
okay,
questions were great, but these are the ones that we are waiting for. Okay. Tell us about a
okay.
time you failed, my brother, and how did you overcome?
Time that I failed.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Woo!
Here
Oh,
we
there's so
go.
many.
Here we go. It's so many, huh?
There's so many. First, before I say anything, I have to say that failure is probably the best thing that could possibly happen to somebody. So that's why
Oh,
I'm never
I agree.
never scared to talk about it. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'll talk about right now. We partnered up with a company in town, and we were doing all their media stuff and shooting for them and everything like that. And it we ended up opening shop with them in the downtown area, and we're starting to realize that it's not really working out as good as we wanted to and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But what's cool is that we approached both the directors, myself and the executive director, approaching it with a open heart, and we're both trying to work on it in a way that everybody could be satisfied. And even though there's going to be loss in the situation, the loss is going to be a learning experience. Because whenever you try to do something like innovate, it's not something everybody looks at innovation as something that kind of just like, oh, since you innovated, it's going to work out successfully. But innovation is the epitome of failure. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you have to fail to innovate. And that's kind of what's going on now. So we did fail the first section of our relationship, but what's cool is that the relationship is getting stronger, and
Nice.
we're going to both progress and succeed no matter what. So, it doesn't matter. So that's my
Mhm.
biggest one on my mind right now, is like uh
Yes.
that we had a lot of great dreams with them, and then slowly we started to realize that our dreams were not um they weren't the same at all. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, we needed space, and we needed um filmmakers, we need to be loud, and we need to like joke around and stuff, and they're the opposite. Like, they need to be quiet,
Oh,
they need to focus and stuff like that. So uh
yeah.
and I'm kind of bummed about it. I'm bummed about the situation, but at the same
Mhm.
time, there's like a lot of weight lifted off my shoulders at the moment,
Yeah.
and there's also a lot of like excitement with what's going to come out of it because, like I said, uh, I learned a lot, like a lot,
Hmm.
and I'm super hyped on what we did together, and the fact that we could maturely talk about it and cheers about it and all that good stuff. I'm excited to move forward with it.
Man, I love the way you looking at everything and the way you moving forward in a positive direction. Now, I heard you have the best set stories. So tell me about a time things didn't go as smooth as they should have been, which I've been on set with you. So I've seen
Right.
many of these situations myself. So when things didn't go as smooth as you wanted them to, how do you handle them being a leader like yourself?
um, so there's so many of those too. I have to say the funniest one that ever happened was we were shooting a documentary called Wake for Warriors.
Hmm.
Um, and we were on the chase boat. It was a pontoon boat, right? Okay, so like what Wake for Warriors is the non-for-profit that takes wounded vets, both mentally and physically, a lot of amputees, a lot of quadriplegics, and just whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If you're military and you feel that you need to meet with your brothers and sisters and you want to learn a new sport and try to kind of like be a part of a community and like really get into the camaraderie and everything, that's what Wake for Warriors is. So they take them. Ski Nautique is a big sponsor of them, which is wakeboard ski boat. And the way that those boats run is that the back end of them dig deep into the water when they go, but they move slow and they create this big wake so they can, wake surf and stuff like that. Well, we're on the chase boat, which is a pontoon boat. And obviously, pontoon boats are flat and dumpy and all this other stuff. And we ended up that the boats drove past us. We're in the middle between these two boats, and they drove past us, and I was shooting both ways. Well, what happened is the wake came, and the
Ooh.
wake came to a point like this from both boats, and we were on top. And then the
Oh,
boat goes like this, and it
oh
goes,
no.
"Whoop," and it started. I'm literally standing on the back of a chair, like the back of the chair, because it's going into the water. I have my audio
Oh,
guy holding on, right? All my gear
oh
is
man.
on the floor of this pontoon boat, and I'm like
Ah,
holding it with my foot and all this other stuff. Um, and the captain of the pontoon boat was very skilled, so he brought the boat back. Boom! It's a pontoon boat, so it's just gonna bob anyway.
wow.
Uh, and it was probably about 6, 7 inches of water. So he made everybody run to the front of the boat, and then again we tipped it forward. All the water goes, and then
Oh my
uh,
goodness.
it was probably the scariest thing that. And I even said it. I was like,
Man.
"Well, there goes all my gear. We're done." You know what I mean? Like all my
Oh,
gear was gonna go in the water, but luckily none of it
dang.
went in the water.
Hmm.
It was easily the scariest thing that's ever happened to me when it comes to a shoot. And the way that we recovered was how I said, like where we stood on, the water rushed off, and
Hmm.
we literally just moved on and we laughed about it. It could have been
Wow.
way worse, way worse. You know what I mean? But that was one of my set stories that I love to talk about, and everybody laughs
Yeah,
about probably the most. Is
that's
that,
crazy, man.
yeah,
That may make the teaser. I'm sorry. It may
yeah.
make the teaser.
Dude, that
But
was
yes, man.
and we uh Andy, our audio guy, him and I just we laugh about it so much still to this day, and that was probably 5 years ago
Yeah.
or something. And it was
Wow, it's
just
been
super
that
fun.
long.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yes, man. I remember you telling me this story too. You
yeah,
both actually
yeah,
heard it from both perspectives. I
yeah. It
think so.
was so scary. Big up some Wake for Warriors though. That's a
Yeah.
really good not for profit. Dave Deep, who runs it, amazing.
Hmm.
Chris Townsend, who's one of the chairs, board members for him, is just super positive, great dude. Um, and we go and do that voluntarily every year, and we do it
That's
not
amazing.
for anything except for the Warriors. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I'm waiting for a call, to
ups,
volunteer for this
yeah,
too.
April, you're on.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
you
Sign
you
me
and
up.
Remo. Yep,
Put me in. Put me in.
yep, you're in, coach.
All right,
But you're
now I'm trying to rep image, so you already know.
ah, you're
Awesome,
the
man. What are
face.
some oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say you're the face of image. You are
Oh,
the
come on.
epitome of
Don't
what
do
image
this.
is.
Don't do this. Why you always trying to put me on the spot, bro? What's up with that, man? Man. So what are some key elements that every filmmaker should know when coming on set and of course working with other filmmakers?
Um, the biggest thing is definitely learning and understanding that everybody's under different pressures and everybody's under different stresses, and you might not get along with everybody on set, but you have to respect and love their art.
Amen.
We always try to be as positive as possible, and there was times when I used to, especially when you're a grip and electric, the key to grip and electric and gaffing and the key grip and all that is we always bust each other's chops and joke around and stuff, and it could get insulting and stuff, but we all take it like whatever. But you got to mind your p's and q's and respect everybody on set. And
Oh yeah.
the biggest thing for me too is learning from everybody. Like I love to learn new things
Hmm.
from everybody, from the PAs to the teamsters to I love hearing all the stories from the actors and all
Oh yeah.
that, or the people that have never been on set before. I love to kind of take them under my wing and show them the ropes a little bit, because we were all there at one point, and
Right.
none of us are the end all be all in filmmaking, because if we
Hmm.
were the end all be all in filmmaking, then filmmaking would die with us, right?
Right. Right.
So I understand that I'm merely just a stepping stone with the
Oh yeah.
progression of filmmaking, and I want the future to be bright for these young kids.
Oh yeah.
So I think, try to try to take people under your wing, and it just takes one person. It takes one
Hmm.
person for you to feel good about yourself, just to teach them a few things, and respect and love everybody for who they are on set, and understand that people are in stressful situations, and just lend a helping hand. That's it.
Oh yeah. I usually end with this, but I'm not ending yet. I want to tell you, got a couple of questions.
Uh-huh.
But yes, that's one thing I do admire about you a lot. I noticed that you do a lot of that, where you take young, filmmakers or whatever industry they're working in and may have an interest. You take them under your wing and you just teach them the ropes and let them fly. I
Uh,
mean, it's so amazing to see that. And that's one of the things I do admire about you, brother. Um,
well,
what
thank
is
you,
some
thank you.
advice? What is some advice that you can give these students, they're getting ready to graduate, preparing to go into the entertainment industry? What's some advice that you can give them, to be prepared for that big step?
Well, the preparedness would be to understand that the old ways of filmmaking are still very big, so you will get a lot of competitive people. You'll get a lot of people that will can be kind of brutal and stuff like that, but it's up to you to change that. You're the future of filmmaking, so
Mhm.
take what you hate and get rid of it in your sources, and then take what you love and really make it thrive, like push it forward, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
um but just make sure that you have a thick skin a little bit, and make sure that you're willing to push forward, and always remember that we're just making movies. That's it.
Right,
We're
right.
just making commercials. There's nothing. We're not, doing a heart transplant. We're not doing things that are really life threatening. So if
Mhm.
you have to, walk away, just walk away. Walk away
Yeah,
for a minute if you have to. If you have to walk away for the day, it doesn't hurt, because what it's going to do is make the next day better, if that's the best decision you can make at that moment.
I
Um,
love it.
and it's probably some of the best decisions that I ever made. I know that we were doing a job, all of us were, and we were behind on shots, and the
Mhm.
12-hour mark came, and I said, "All right, we're wrapped." And they were like, "What about the next 5 shots?" And I was like, "We'll get them tomorrow. Doesn't matter."
Yeah.
But we have
Mhm.
50 shots tomorrow. And I was like, "It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, we're gonna get what we get, and that's it. Like, if
Yeah.
we have to go over a half hour to get them, whatever. But right now, we're not focused.
Mhm.
When you're at 12 hours, your production, um, how do you say it? Like your focus and stuff is just not what it is. at
Mhm.
5 hours. You know what I mean? When you first
Yeah.
start the day, your focus is amazing. After 12 hours, it's not there anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your production value has gone down tremendously. So,
Hmm.
you know, if you're
Especially
going
after
out there,
lunch, right?
yeah.
Especially after lunch.
Oh man. And depending on what they're feeding you too,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
carb heavy lunches and stuff like that, people get tired. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
pizza. I always like, oh, we're gonna go carb heavy. Let's get spaghetti. And I'm like, dude, that's the worst.
Oh man.
One of the
Yeah.
funny sayings about food on set was we were in line and it was a best boy. I was on a union show when I was grunting, and they were like, "All right, we're calling lunch," and he goes, "Ooh, what's for chicken?" Because it's always chicken on set.
It's
Like it's
always
always
chicken.
if it's a meal past pizza, it's always a chicken meal. You know what
So
I
it's
mean?
chicken
So
meal.
yeah, so it's always funny.
That's
But
funny. Yeah.
as far as advice, keep pushing forward. If you're not getting all the jobs that your friends are getting, don't worry about it. Your time will come. Just keep fighting for it, and stay respectful, stay humble. Don't be cocky, and always remember that You're always going to be learning. So make sure that you
Oh yeah.
focus on learning versus teaching. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So
Love it.
yeah,
Love it, man. You have any resources that you can recommend that that helped you along the journey?
yeah.
Any like
So
websites? And yeah.
there's one that blew my mind, and I usually keep it I don't keep it a secret, but, like, I only tell people when they ask the specific question, ironically.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Y'all can thank me
but
later.
it's the it's AFCI, American Film, International. What is it? American Film Commission International
Mhm.
.org, AFCI. And what it is, it's every single film commission and
Mm.
film office in the world.
Wow.
So what you
That's amazing.
do, it's amazing. It's an amazing website, and it also has an educational section. So like you can actually take classes, like you can take
Mhm.
script soup classes, you can take director classes, all that stuff. Uh,
What?
it's pretty insane. So I found this website when back in the day, Jennifer and I were thinking about traveling a lot, and what we would do is like if we wanted to go to California to visit friends, we would find jobs on the way so we can like just do a job in Tennessee, or for a day or
Mm.
whatever. Maybe just apply for jobs. And this is before we had kids, so
Yeah.
it would have been a lot more fun. But
Yeah.
um, so I fell upon this website, and it shows every film office, and within each film office, they're gonna have what's going on button, like a drop down menu, and
Mhm.
that'll show you all the different jobs and stuff that are happening in that area at that time that you could literally apply to. You could literally get the phone
Wow.
number to the producer or the production manager to all of them, and you know this is great for you because then you could look at number one, what's in your area, and then you can
Right.
compare your area to whatever area that you may want to move to or that you dream to move to, or just an area that you're going to go visit. Maybe you and your family are going to a place for like 2 weeks, and you might want to jump on a set or go visit a rental house. All the rental
Man.
houses are in there, all that
Uh,
stuff. So that's what really sparked uh, me driving around, like when I go to Miami, I learned that CSC Airy CSC was down there, so I'd go visit them, and a lot
mm.
of people from Full Sail that I taught actually worked there and stuff. So it was a lot of
Wow.
fun, and they taught me a lot, and then they gave me a lot of swag and all that. And
That's
they asked
amazing.
me, they even asked me to apply, like to run the lighting department, and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. So you never know what's going
Yeah.
to happen. So AFCI.org is a
Yeah.
great resource all the way around because it has education. Obviously, it has all the films that are going on in the world. Like
Wow.
we wanted to go to Denmark, um, so I went to the offices and commission over there, did their drop down and stuff. Even you know what I mean. But
Mhm.
I don't speak Danish, so it wouldn't
Man.
not yet anyway.
Yeah, that's an amazing resource, man. I'm like, I need this for my students.
Yeah,
So as well,
yeah,
so no, that's great, man. Definitely want to check that out. How can our listeners find more about your work, or you have any social media websites out there, and or your actual website for your company?
yeah. So the website for Image is imageinanation.com. You could go there, and a lot of our films are trailers, or actually some of the full length films, like the Wait for Warrior ones, are on there. So you could check those out. Also, you can contact us through there if you'd like. And we have an Image in a Nation Instagram and Image in a Nation Facebook. Instagram we use more, obviously, but some of the older folks out there that still use Facebook, you could go to Image in a Nation at Facebook, and I think that's all of them.
Nice.
MySpace isn't around anymore, right? MySpace is gone.
Ah, man, you just dropped the MySpace. That's how you know
Yeah.
you're telling your age now. I remember them days.
You know what, man?
MySpace.
MySpace had you could put a song on your profile on
Yes.
MySpace.
Oh yeah.
Why can't we do that anymore? Dude, that was the
Yeah,
raz.
that used to be so cool, man. Cause that was the
Uh-huh.
mood. This is my mood right now. You know, this is my page.
Yeah. That's your
Man,
mood.
those days.
Or if you like check somebody's MySpace out, you're like, okay, he knows good hip hop, or hey, he knows good. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like he's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
he's not messing
Oh
around.
yeah.
He's not. So man,
Man, those were the
bring back
days.
MySpace. Bring back
At
MySpace.
least bring back the music option.
Yeah, yeah. No,
It's a
Facebook
great
and
promotion
Instagram,
tool too. It's a great promotion
right?
tool. So
100%.
yes, man. So Ryan, man, any final thoughts you want to leave for our listeners that are checking us out?
Well, the only thing I have to say right now is it's unbelievably humbling, and just a pleasure and an honor to be here and be with you, Ronald, because there's no other place I'd rather be. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
man.
like, thank you so much for doing this and doing this for the people and all that. So, it's super rad to see all the content that you put out with this show. It's a lot of fun to watch,
Oh man,
and the
appreciate
people
it.
that you interview are so rad. So shout out to all those ladies and gentlemen out there. And that's it. Like, just love and support for everybody, and uh, make it a journey, not a race. You know what I mean?
I love it,
So
man. And my final thoughts for you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Again, I look up to you. I admire your work.
well,
When they
thanks, man.
say put yourself around people that are better than you, my brother, that's you in my life. You're better than
No, come
me.
on.
And I'm so grateful that God has allowed me to be blessed to learn from you, to grow from you, and to come back around full circle where you taught me. And now I get the blessed opportunity to work with you and work by your side. Like that. That is amazing, bro. So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
man, for being an inspiration constantly in my life, man. And I thank you for being here, man.
That
So
is
thank you
awesome.
all. Thank
Yeah,
you all for
thank you so much.
tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in. And I'm grateful that Ryan Funk joined us, Mr. Edward Ryan Funk. And you're going to see a lot of great work coming from this individual, man. So definitely stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. So, but yes, thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for more great episodes to come. And we are blessed that you're listening. And we're all listening and growing together. Stay blessed and take care.